Okay, so this is an attempt to explain a project that I'm about to submit to the Shuttleworth Foundation. The project is about operationalizing the values that researchers have in the way they conduct their research and the way they interact with the research ecosystem, the things they study, with the people whom they collaborate, with the institutions, the events, and so on. And what I want to do here is to actually help researchers to do this operationalization. That is, I want to give them opportunities to check on a regular basis to what extent the research that they're performing or the way they interact with the system actually fits with their values. These might be very simple things, like, for instance, they want to publish a paper, and the question comes up as to what the license should be under which that paper is published, or the same could go for a data set or some piece of code. And then they look into which options are available and how these fit with their own values. And if this is one person or one actor, this is maybe straightforward. But if multiple people are involved, then it typically ends up in some sort of a negotiation that can get quite complicated. And if multiple institutions are involved, it's even more complicated. And so the idea would be that everybody would basically signal their default license in some mechanism. And then if those default licenses, they meet certain standards, then their interoperability can be checked. And then we do not need to discuss the entire ecosystem. We can just discuss those cases where there is some incompatibility. And those incompatibilities, they can even be used to search for suitable collaboration partners or, let's say, journals or databases with whom to collaborate. And so this should not just be about licensing. It should be about essentially every aspect that the researcher cares about in the way they perform their research. And so it is an extension of systems like pledges that some researchers have. I have some as well. Or it could be seen as an extension of pledges that people have signed or petitions that people have signed. For instance, that they might boycott certain publishers or certain other activities or providers of activities for certain reasons. Through this system that I plan to build, they could be enabled to actually signal that in a standard fashion. And in contrast to typical petition signing initiatives, I'm planning to build some mechanisms by which you can actually be reminded of the things that you've committed to, and then that you can signal this to others so that the likelihood that you're following up on those pledges is increased. And that it can also serve as a conversation starter more easily. And so overall, this would mean that those things that the people care about can be more easily expressed. They can be more easily also conveyed and aggregated, and you can use them as a nucleus for starting collaborations or projects or conversations. This project will involve a number of things that are not readily combinable yet. So it will involve work on the technical end. So a system has to be built. It will involve policy work. So we will have to look into how you can actually express those things. How can we synthesize a useful set of concepts and links between concepts that can be used to convey such values. And there will be community work, because I can build the system just for myself, of course, yes, but that's not the intent here. The intent would be to have a community of people who are interested in signaling their intentions in such a standardized fashion. And also, once the community reaches a certain size, we can actually use such systems to trigger coordinated collective action, and maybe even, for instance, publish our pledges together, and then say, okay, we as a group of so and so many people plan to address this problem by doing this and that within that particular time frame. And all of this would be standardized, and I hope that this is interesting to you. Thank you.